Guys, what I want to know is what happened to the Manny Pacquiao and Crawford fight that was being talked about. All of a sudden, it's just vanished. No talk about it, nothing. Manny Pacquiao was in talks to fight Terence Crawford, according to Bob Arum. And all of a sudden, now we know that Terence Crawford is in talks to fight Kell Brook. What happened? Something's not right. Something's not right from Team Crawford's side. Because it just seems like they're not being able to get these big fights over the line. Why is that? Is it a case where they know that the Terence Crawford-Manny Pacquiao fight can't happen because of the crowds? If that's the case, why were they even talking to Manny? But why is it that Team Crawford are not able to get these big fights over the line? I just don't understand that. It can't be to do with the fact that they're the PBC, because there are guys like Sean Porter, Keith Thurman now, and Pacquiao was in talks. He's a PBC guy. He was in talks with Terence Crawford. Why are these fights not happening? Is there more to the picture than us fans know? Because all we're being fed now is that everybody doesn't want to fight Terence Crawford, but then we're hearing all of these fighters going into negotiations with them, but then it doesn't work out. Is it the fact that Terence Crawford, are their team greedy? Is it the fact that the other guys are greedy? What's going on? I don't know what's going on, because it just doesn't make sense. 1 minute you hear Pacquiao's in negotiation with Terence Crawford, and it looks like something may develop. And from what Bob Arum was saying, they would look like there were serious talks. And all of a sudden, it just the talk just disappears. The talk about Pacquiao Crawford just disappears. And then we start talking about Thurman. And then Thurman asks for a lot of money. And then they say, well, he's asking for stupid money, crazy money. Okay, I supported Crawford. But then we hear about him going into negotiations with Kell Brook. But we know that Sean Porter wanted to fight him. And then nothing materialized there. Then we know that, Manny Pacquiao was in talks with him. Nothing materialized from there. Then we know that Keith Thurman wanted to fight him. And nothing materialized there. So what is going on? Is there more to the picture than we're seeing? Because it doesn't seem like any of these fights are going through. Is it the fact that Bob Arum knows that Terence Crawford doesn't sell? And he's not a big star. He's not a big pay-per-view star. And we can't offer the money that these guys want. Because Pacquiao's going to want to get paid to fight Crawford. Pacquiao gets paid a lot of money. He gets paid very well. So he's not going to take a fight with Crawford for cheap change. You know what I mean? He wants to be paid. Now, is it a case that Terence Crawford is just not a pay-per-view attraction and not a big star? And the money that the guys get or want, they just can't afford, because Crawford doesn't do those numbers. That's probably the reason. Because here's the thing, usually the reason why people are avoided is not because people are scared of them. Pacquiao isn't scared of Terence Crawford. He's fought a lot more dangerous fights than Terence Crawford fight in his career. I think it's a case where Crawford just doesn't bring enough money to the table. So Pacquiao's thinking, why am I going to fight Terence Crawford when I can fight Mikey Garcia, who's less risky and more money than Terence Crawford? If Crawford was bringing him a good paycheck or a more paycheck than less riskier fights, then he would take the fight. But Crawford's not bringing the same amount of money and he's more risk. So that's just being smart. Crawford's, unfortunately, in my opinion, just not bringing the numbers for someone like Pacquiao, right? And the money that they're going to offer Keith Thurman for the fight with Crawford, Thurman's probably looking, I could fight Danny Garcia in a rematch, or I could fight Sean Porter in a rematch and make that money. Now, I always say listen, Keith Thurman's made some decent money, or I'd like to think he's made some decent money, and he will get paid decent money to fight Crawford. But I always think that it's about legacy. Now, a win over Crawford does a lot more for Keith Thurman's legacy than Sean Porter. And if the money's not that much, there's not huge money difference, in the money that he's going to get paid for both fights, then Keith Thurman should seriously consider it, right? Someone like Pacquiao, though, his legacy is already secure. He's not going to come to a fight with Terence Crawford when he knows there's other fights that he could take that are more money. Because Manny Pacquiao's legacy is already there. He's already a legend. He's already one of the greatest fighters ever. So a win over Crawford isn't going to do that much more. You know, people aren't going to all of a sudden say if he beats Crawford, he's the greatest fighter ever. Because many people think he's one of the greatest. They're just going to have the same opinion about, you know, his position in history. So I don't know. And then with the Sean Porter fight, I have a feeling that Terence Crawford himself probably didn't want that fight. Now, I don't know. I'm just speculating because Terence Crawford mentioned that when Sean was champion, he didn't fight me. And I feel a certain way about that. So, for me, that gives off the indication that Terence Crawford didn't want to fight Sean Porter because he's thinking, what does this guy bring for me? Nothing. But then you're willing to fight Kell Brook. So, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what Terence Crawford's thought process is. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with their team. But it's difficult and desperate times for Crawford because I want to see him in there with the top boys. And he's not getting the big fights. And a lot of boxing fans are frustrated. They are frustrated. But leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.